Rivendell is an elven realm in Middle-earth, a fictional world created by J.R.R.Tolkien. It is an important location in Tolkien's Legendarium, and is featured in The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, The Silmarillion, and Unfinished Tales. It was established and ruled by Elrond, half-elven, in the Second Age of Middle-earth, and was protected by the powers of its lord and his elven ring Vilya. Elrond lived in Rivendell with his family, his wife Celebrian, the sons Eladin and Elrihir, and a daughter Arwen, as well as a sizable number of other elves, both Noldor and Sindar. In addition to the family of Elrond, notable elves who lived in Rivendell included Glorfindel, Gildor, and Eristor. In some writings, featured in Unfinished Tales, Galadriel and Celeborn also lived in Rivendell for a time before they became rulers of Lothlorien. Etymology: Rivendell is a direct translation, a calque into English, of the Sindarin name Imladris, both meaning deep valley of the cleft. The name Rivendell is formed by two English elements, riven and dell, making the whole word purport deeply cloven valley. Imladris was also rendered Carningle in Westron, the common tongue of Middle-earth, represented as English in the text of The Lord of the Rings. It is also referred to as the last homely house, alluding to the Elves' old cities in Beleriand and Armin, and the wilderness that lies east of the Misty Mountains. Fictional context. Geography: Rivendell was located in eastern Eredor at the edge of a narrow gorge of the river Bruinen, but well hidden in the moorlands and foothills of the Hitherglen Misty Mountains. Contrary to the map of Western Middle-earth published in The Lord of the Rings, the Great East Road did not lead to Rivendell. Rivendell was maintained as a hidden valley away from the road to the High Pass. The climate was cool, temperate and semi-continental, with moderately warm summers, fairly snowy, but not frigid, winters and moderate precipitation. Seasons were more pronounced than in areas further west, such as the Shire, but less extreme than the places east of the Misty Mountains. Like Hobbiton, it is located at about the same latitude as Tolkien's hometown Oxford. History: Rivendell was founded in the year 1697 of the Second Age, following the destruction of the elvish realm of Eregion by the forces of Sauron. Sauron had invaded Eregion in SA 1695 to wrest the Rings of Power from the Elven smiths. In response to this attack, Gil-galad sent a force from Lindon, commanded by Elrond, to bolster Erigion's defense. After 2 years of fighting, Eregion was utterly destroyed. The remnants of Elrond's army and Erigion's refugees were driven north into the hills of Rhudaur by Sauron's forces, and were subsequently besieged for 3 years in the valley that would become the site of Rivendell. They were relieved in S.A. 1700 when an army of elves from Lindon and their allies, the men of Numenor, in conjunction with the defenders, attacked the besieging force and annihilated it. After the siege was lifted, it was decided to abandon Eregion, leaving Rivendell the only elven settlement in eastern Eredor. At the end of the Second Age, it served as a mustering station for the forces of the last alliance of elves and men on the way to war in Mordor. After this war, Rivendell enjoyed centuries of peace, but was attacked in the 14th century of the Third Age by the armies of the Witch King of Angmar. It again withstood a siege for some years, but its enemies were finally driven off when reinforcements arrived from Lothlorien. Several centuries later, a force sent from Rivendell, commanded by Glorfindel, took part in the final battle against the armies of Angmar. Following the destruction of Arnor, the northern kingdom of the Númenórean exiles, in t.a. 1974, Rivendell became an important location for the remnants of its people, the Ranges of the North. Elrond held several important relics of the kingdom in his keeping, including the Shards of Narsil, the Sceptre of Anúminas, the Star of Elendil, and the Ring of Barahir, and all of the heirs of the chieftains of the Ranges were fostered in Rivendell as children. The most notable and last of these was Aragorn, whom Elrond regarded as a foster son. During his time in Rivendell, Aragorn met and fell in love with Arwen. They were later married after he was crowned King of Gondor and Arnor. Rivendell proved to be an important location in the events leading up to and during the War of the Ring. Fearing the growing power of Sauron, his enemies formed the White Council to allow them to debate and strategize how to confront his menace. Elrond was a prominent member of the council, and it frequently met in Rivendell. One of these meetings occurred in t.a. 2941 when the council decided to attack Sauron in his fortress in Dol Guldur. That same year, another council member, the wizard Gandalf, helped the hobbit Bilbo Baggins and a company of dwarves on their quest to reclaim Erebor. On the way they stopped at Rivendell, and while they learned important information as to how they could achieve the goal, Bilbo and Gandalf also stopped in Rivendell on the return journey. After his 111th birthday, Bilbo retired to Rivendell, spending his time writing his memoirs and scholarly works. But his finding of the One Ring on his previous adventure soon set great events in motion. In t.a. 3018, Frodo Baggins and his companions journeyed to Rivendell to deliver the ring to safety from Sauron's agents, and stayed there for more than 2 months. In that time, several other elves, dwarves and men also arrived at Rivendell on separate errands, and at the Council of Elrond they learned that all of their errands were related to the fate of the ring. After a lengthy debate, the council decided upon destroying the ring. Subsequently, the Fellowship of the Ring was formed and departed from Rivendell on the quest for Mount Doom. Following the destruction of the One Ring at the end of the Third Age, Elrond's ring lost its power and he tired of Middle-earth. Thus, at the beginning of the Fourth Age, Elrond and many of his household left Rivendell to sail for Valinor from the Grey Havens. Though its people were diminished, Rivendell was maintained for a while by Eladin and Elrihir. They were later joined by Celeborn, who left Lorien within a few years of Galadriel's departure with Elrond's party. It is not known when Rivendell was finally abandoned, but shortly before he died in the Fa 120, Aragorn said to Arwen that none now walk in the Garden of Elrond. Culture. Rivendell's culture was predominantly Elvish, with strong influences from both the Noldor and Sindar, both of whom were represented in its population and in the heritage of Elrond himself. Through its connection to the Dúnedain, there was also a Númenórean influence in Rivendell. In Rivendell, the culture, wisdom, and lore of the elves of the Elder Days was preserved. Through the power of his ring, Vilya, Elrond could stave off the weariness of time that affected the outside world, allowing the immortal elves to live in a somewhat timeless realm in the Hidden Valley. On high feast days, the household of Elrond told the tales and sang the songs chronicling the deeds of the history and of the blessed realm of Valinor. Despite its semi-isolation and seeming fixation on the past, Rivendell was worldly and never fully cut off from other peoples of the Troubles. For outsiders, it proved to be a refuge for the weary and the oppressed, and a treasury of good counsel and wise lore, and was visited by peoples of all races seeking sanctuary, healing, and the wisdom of Elrond. This somewhat cosmopolitan nature was remarked on by Sam Gamgee, who said that there was something of everything in Rivendell, to which Frodo agreed, but added that there was nothing of the sea represented. Inspiration. The physical appearance of the Valley of Rivendell may be based upon the Lauterbrunnental in Switzerland, where J.R.R. Tolkien had hiked in 1911. The The homes, including the waterfalls flowing beneath them, bear a striking similarity to Beatenberg, which is located in the same region. In Peter Jackson's movie The Fellowship of the Ring, the filming location for Rivendell was Kaitoke Regional Park in Upper Hutt, New Zealand, though the extensive array of waterfalls was added with CGI. Legacy. In the period of counterculture in the Western world of the 1960s and 1970s, a commune called Mouselist was founded in Denmark in 1968, its inhabitants replacing the surnames with Cloverdell, Danish for Rivendell, inspired by Tolkien's Elven outpost. Several of them later became well-known cultural personalities in the country. The Canadian progressive rock band Rush memorializes Rivendell in the song Rivendell on the second studio album Fly By Night. The song focuses on the tranquility and seemingly endless time a weary traveler could find there. The Austrian folk band Rivendell takes the material for the lyrics almost entirely from Tolkien's books. A Californian manufacturer of bicycles, Rivendell Bicycle Works, also uses the name, inspired by the book, and a United States backpacking supply company founded in the 1970s called Rivendell Mountain Works. They take many of the names of the bicycle models from Tolkien. Works cited: Dixon, Matthew. Rivendell. In Drought, Michael D. C. J.R.R.Tolkien Encyclopedia, Scholarship and Critical Assessment. Routledge. pp. 573-574. ISBN 0-415-96942-5.